Are you saying that your office, you in particular, found out that the RCMP is investigating the contracts under the $54 million ArriveCAN app, not by the Government of Canada itself, but from reading the Globe and Mail story?
This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
I just want to go over how we got here to begin with the whole ArriveCAN app. Now, that we've had a lot of stories how this small little app costs Canadians taxpayers, $54 million. We have a company, GC Strategies, which is in the middle of this scandal. It's a so-called IT firm, but it's actually just two individuals working out of a house that seem to have deep, close connections with high government officials, and they act almost as a lobbyist or a executive recruitment firm and not as a IT firm. We've heard from an IT company involved in the ArriveCAN process. They were an IT company, and they've actually worked out the amount of hours, consulting hours, spent on ArriveCAN would cover 32 years of front-end development and 5 years of back-end development based on an 8-hour workday. We had the original goal of ArriveCAN app was to remove, of course, the burden of paperwork for international travelers coming from air and border pre-travel due to COVID. But of course, the app changed over time. We've heard from many tech giants, entrepreneurs that commented on quite critically of the government, and this is a lot from the operations study of ArriveCAN, calling out the government on its cost. We had an investor at Roach Capital who held a senior product lead position at Snapchat, and Shopify says he could not comprehend how the cost got to $54 million. Another tech person said the amount spent on the app is shocking, especially around the amount of capital spent to build the app and the distribution of the funds, again going back to 32 years of man hours just for the front-end development. And of course we heard the famous comment about Garage IT Group were able to recreate the app over a weekend. Now we see currently in the country, and again it's $54 million for this app, over 1 million Canadians a month are visiting food banks. We see our Chief of Defense Staff, General Iyer, commenting the chaplains in the armed forces are saying members are group funding or having to seek donations to pay for food for our defense ministers, for our soldiers. And at the same time, the government spent $54 million for what seems to be just optics. The app, we heard Liberals actually in the OGO claiming that the app saved tens of thousands of lives, which we know is just, again, a bizarre optic claim that it's not a medical device to save lives. So we hear from the government trying to justify the creation of ArriveCAN as lifesavers. And then we had the former Minister of Transport saying it's to keep Canadians safe and to enhance travel. But then at the same time, we saw 10,000 users sent into involuntary quarantine by error because of problems with the app. We had a couple, Don and Karen Bennett of Burlington, so they got a notice from the government threatening a $5,000 fine plus sending the police to them because the app identified them as should have gone into quarantine by error. We have massive lines at the airport because of the problems with the app, problems with performance and other issues. And then we had the Director of Privacy at the Canadian Civil Liberties Association saying the term that I use for the app, the government's discussion or description of the app is dishonest. And then we have Mr. Curry's article, and we've got so many concerns about the app. We've heard from Bottler, which is a small IT company out of Montreal, at the center of Mr. Curry's article, has filed 2 wrongdoing complaints separately with PSPC and CBAC over the procurement process. And yet we had PSPCA, senior PSPCA and the head of CBSA at OGO after these wrongdoing complaints were filed, and yet they failed to even bring this up under questioning, purposely admitting that they have wrongdoing investigations going on. We had top officials not disclosing this to OGO. We had Mr. Firth from GC Strategies himself lying to committee about his relationship with CBS officials at CBSA and PSPC. We had a top official with CBSA testifying there was no relationship with anyone with GC Strategies, and yet the article from Mr. Curry in the Globe and Mail shows that is a clear lie. We had top PSPC official claim that GC Strategies was chosen for this project because it was a professional IT firm. A second top official stated GC Strategies was chosen because it was a professional IT firm when we know it was basically a lobbyist firm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. AG Hogan, I want to ask a clarifying question. Based on what I've heard on your responses to my colleagues, are you saying that your office, you in particular, found out that the RCMP is investigating the contracts under the $54 million ArriveCAN app, not by the Government of Canada itself, but from reading the Globe and Mail story?
Yes, despite my staff being in auditing all of the departments in this audit, management had not informed me that they had referred a contracting matter, which involved many common players that we are looking at, to the RCMP. The morning that the newspaper article was released, senior management did reach out to my office, and my team has been in contact with them and in continuous dialogue since then.
I want to break that response down a little bit more. You mentioned that you were dealing with a number of departments. Can you name those departments that did not inform you about the RCMP investigation?
So it's my understanding from reading the article that it was the Canada Border Services Agency that did the referral, and so I would have expected that they would have informed us. Through the course of our audit, we always ask questions linked to actual suspected or alleged fraud, and we would expect that there's an ongoing responsibility for officials to keep us informed of any matters that are relevant to the subject that we are auditing. And so I am disappointed that they did not tell us.
Well, not only are you disappointed, but Canadians are disappointed. Members of Parliament are disappointed. You have been charged with a very serious responsibility, and one would think at the very least the government would exercise some transparency and accountability to notify you about this investigation, and they failed. Failed you, failed Canadians. Moving on. The actual story itself, was that read by you on the 3rd of October when it was released?
I read it at some point. I can't tell you that I actually read it on the 3rd, but I know that I've read it, and I've read several articles since then. Yes.
Before I get into more specific questions, I take it you read it thoroughly. It's a very long article.
I did. I actually reread it last night just in case,
Right.
But it is a very lengthy article. Yes.
As an Auditor General for this country, did it raise red flags to you?
Well, it in my mind covers one half of the story, and I think I needed to understand some of the statements in the article. It has caused me, as an auditor, to ask my team to go back and make sure that we've covered off everything we should have. We have the intention of re-interviewing people we interviewed and asking them questions. We have intentions of interviewing new people as a result of the article.
Can you identify who the new people are that you're interviewing?
So I'm still in a conversation with the Canada Border Services Agency about that, and we want to inform them, but we did tell them a few days ago that our intention is to speak directly with certain contractors, and so we asked them to, let them know that we would be doing that.
Okay.
So until we've sort of landed on that, and as I said, we don't typically share the scope of our work and who we talk to during our audit.
And I'm not asking that.
When
I understand your preamble, the opening statement, and the restrictions that you have. As far as new people to interview, would that include the two stakeholders from Bottler?
So again, we're going to figure out who we want to talk to. We still have to request certain information. The information I would like to see is the actual allegations that were given to the department. And until I've seen that, I'm not sure if we want to interview anyone from the organization that laid those allegations.
At the core of the allegations, they use the phrase misconduct. But when you go deep dive into the particular story, it goes beyond misconduct. It goes into criminality. And that's why the RCMP is investigating it. There are allegations regarding identity theft, fraudulent forged resumes, contractual theft, fraudulent billing, price fixing, collusion, all with senior bureaucrats with the Government of Canada and the three contractors in question, GC Strategies, Delian Enterprises, and Coridex. At the heart of the article,
Mr. Brower, that is your time, but you'll have another opportunity to pick that up again. Thank you. Ms. Khalid, you have the floor for 5 minutes now, please.
At this time, Mr. Chair, I move that the committee do now adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's not debatable. I'll ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
So I'm calling Mr. Macaulay.
Sorry, Holly.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Mr. Nader.
No.
Mr. Brock.
no.
Madame Sinclair Desgagnés.
No.
Mr. Desjardins.
Yes.
Mr. Blois.
Yes.
Ms. Bradford.
Yes.
Ms. Khalid.
Yes.
Madame Shanahan.
Yes.
Ms. Yip.
Yes.
6 yeas, 4 nays.
Thank you. I adjourn the meeting.